Welcome to the Hustler's Handbook podcast. I'm Easton. In this show, we explore the stories of relentless go-getters, uncovering the secrets behind their success. We talk life, work, and everything in between. The highs, the lows, and the grit it takes to keep pushing forward. Tune in and get inspired right here on the Hustler's Handbook podcast. Welcome to the Hustler's Handbook podcast. I'm your host, Easton Johnson. Today, joining us is Duante Barnett, aka SuitMan, comedian and producer based out of Seattle, Washington. Welcome to the show, Duante.
What's up, Easton? How you doing this morning, brother?
Good. Yourself?
You know, it's I just started doing concert work again. I do a whole bunch of shit. We'll get into that, but I just started doing concert work again for the Billy Joel concert out here, and I'm kind of a little famished. I'm tired.
I bet.
It's a little different.
Can you tell us a little bit about your journey in comedy and what got you started in SuitMan Production?
Well, I'm Duante SuitMan. I've been doing comedy almost 6 years. I've been producing shows, though, almost 6 years. My first show was actually called Make Dante Dad Again.
Okay.
When I first started comedy, I was going through a bad divorce. I lost my kids, and I needed help getting financial support to fight in court and shit. And I decided to do a show. And when you're new in comedy, everybody likes you and everybody's your friend because they don't know if you're funny or not, right? It's not a competition yet.
Yeah.
Kind of like any other business, right? When you're first a gym trainer, everybody's like, Easton's great. And then 2 years later, like, where's everybody at? I was great when I was new. I get 6 clients and now I'm the ass. Never mind. But so I started a show and I did a show with 36 people, right? And everybody got 5 minutes. And so I'm Asperger's. I'm OCD. You know this about me. I think you remember from football. I remember everything, motherfucker. Everybody's position. This is where. That's not where. How do you know? I know. Right. So I made a spreadsheet. Right. I scheduled everybody to be on stage for 7 minutes, even though they're only doing 5, because I figured they got to walk off. I got to walk on. I got to talk. These were just natural things to me. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I made this schedule for 36 comedians, and people would show up, and I sent them it. Like, you're here from 9:20 to 9:20, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they'd show up at like 9 o'clock, and they'd be like, when am I on? I'd be like, I told you, 9:22.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, 9:22? Yeah, 9:22 to 9:27. And then the next person will be 9:29 to 9:30. And people, and sure as shit, by the end of the night, guess what? I was on time.
Yeah.
And they were like, what? Like, you should produce shows. And I was like, really? And they were like, yeah. And so I started getting funny, and right before that, I'd got my suits and my ties because I went through a bad divorce. I got all my clothes. And so I started wearing suits. And the funny part is like anything, like we said, when you first were beasting, right? Everybody's, I want a shirt. I want a sweatshirt. Then you started getting clients and people were like, I don't want a sweatshirt. Yeah. But when I wasn't any good, y'all wanted a sweatshirt. Right? Now that I'm doing a little stuff, nobody wants to talk to me, right? My first year in comedy, I went down to the Black Comedy Festival in Portland. And I saw like 70 comics from all over the world, all over the U.S., which wasn't a big deal. Now that I'm older, I get what it is. But at that moment in time, I didn't know any better, right? And when I was riding down there, my buddy was like, I got 10 minutes of comedy. No, he's like, I got like a half hour of material. I was like, that's cool and all, nigga, but I'm funnier for 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, nigga, you can have as much material as you want. This kind of goes back to like me in football. When people would run their mouth, I'd be like, yeah, but I bet you can't guard me. And niggas, you remember people like, wow. And you'd be like, you can't. You're one of the people who met me who weren't a believer. Yeah, you met me and you're fat, you're out of shape, you talk a lot of shit. Yeah, wait till game day. Yeah, I'm gonna back it up. And then you saw me on game day and you were like, yeah, I like this motherfucker. Not only does he talk shit, he backs it up. He keeps talking shit while he's on the field and he performs. Fuck, I'd hate to see this guy if he was in shape, right? Same in comedy, right? And so it was the same thing. Everybody wants to say they do things, but they don't do things. So we went there, and I got on a show, and I got 5 minutes, and he got 10, and I crushed it, and he did, right? Then we went somewhere else, and he was in his head. He's like, I'm about to go back, and I know the guy on the other show, so I'm going to get another 10 minutes. And I was like, fuck. I crushed the open mic. We go back to the show. He gets another 10 minutes. Now I'm jealous. I'm like, I can't just leave here doing 5. This nigga done did 20. So I go and talk to the producer of the show. I was like, hey, man, what's up? He said, I don't know, man. I was like, man, I'll take 5 minutes. I'll take 3. I'll take whatever the fuck you get. Just put me on the fucking stage. The dude was like, well, I can give you 5. I went up there. I knocked that shit out the park. To where the motherfucker, when I came off the stage, he was like, nigga, if I'd have known you were funny, I'd have gave you more time. Little did he know I didn't have any more. That was it. Yeah, but I've done 2 different 5-minute sets. And so there's something to be said about that. And again, like me, I could go play quarterback, or I can go play tight end, or I can go play defense. You tell me, nigga, what do you need? Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And that kind of attitude with life and who I am, that's who I am. As a hustler, that's who I am. You see it on the football field. You know what in the fuck I'm talking about. If you give me a chance to do something, I'll do it. Plain and simple. And so I looked around. I was like, we don't have any black comedy shows in Seattle. And I told everybody I was going to throw a black comedy show. And I was going to do it at one of the clubs, either Laughs or Underground or at the Pollard. And all my buddies looked at me and were like, okay. And I was like, nah, for real. And they were like, okay.
Yeah.
And sure as shit, I asked all 3, and Laugh said, we'll give you a day. And guess what? It was 5 years ago to the day I sold out Laughs.
Oh, wow.
With an all-black lineup. I got a $1,100 check on my first real show.
Wow.
Now, this was the hater shit. I told that same comedian that I told him I was funnier than at the festival. I was like, I got an $1,100 check. He's like, man, Hannibal Buress and Ellen DeGeneres got more than that. And I looked at us, you fucking hater.
Yeah. Find a reason to dislike it.
Right? But not only that, are you comparing me to Ellen DeGeneres and Hannibal Buress? Well, they did.
I'll take it, but
you know what I mean? Like, is that how you're gonna piss on my river, right? Piss on my parade? And it was just like, okay. And then I did that show, and I was going by SuitMan then. And I hadn't really figured out like what I was gonna do. And so I made all this money. I have this great show. And there's this guy named Cliff Barnes. He's on a lot of my shows. He's been doing comedy for 40 years. He's from here. His son DJs. His daughter's from here. All this shit, right? And Cliff's been a friend of mine since I started comedy. So he's been looking over me, mentoring me, telling me, hey, you're funny. What are you going to do with it? What's going to be your message? Like really guiding me. And he went to the white owners at last. Were like, hey, you going to let the little kid do something here? Now, you see what he did tonight? You gave him a Thursday before Memorial Day. That's what was so shitty about it. They gave me a Thursday before Memorial Day to throw a comedy show. Yeah, I didn't know. Everybody, hey, I finally went back to everybody going, hey, and they were like, nigga, they gave you a Thursday before a 3-day weekend?
Yeah.
That's not supposed to work. That's not going to survive. Like, they're setting you up for failure.
Exactly.
Bingo! And not only did I not fail, we knocked it out. I mean, dog, when I say this show was amazing, top to bottom, I had 14 comedians. Guess what? They all started on time, right? Everybody was fucking funny. The place was a fucking riot, right? So I went back to him and I was like, I got an idea for this all-woman show. I want to do Dark Brew again. And then I'd like to do this show called Def Comedy Jam. And then before I could say anything, the white lady who's the owner and a woman was like, women really aren't that funny. And deaf people, how are you going to do it? Nah, maybe we could do this black show again. So I had to figure something out because this was June, right? And I just, I paid all my comics, what was it? I paid my new comics 3%. I paid my older comics 6%. And they all did like 5 or 6 minutes. So they either got 30 or 60 bucks for 5 or 6 minutes. That's great pay.
Yeah.
Not only that, it was in front of a packed crowd. On the back end of that, do you know what that meant? I made $600.
Yeah, and they're self-promoting, so everybody wins.
Right? And I did all the promotions. I had posters everywhere. I marketed like you know me, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm on this streak, and I'm like, I got to do more. I'm hooked, motherfucker. Like somebody.
Yeah.
And I sent an email to Columbia City Theater about Def Comedy Jam. And by now, your viewers are like, we know Def Comedy Jam. And I'm like, no, you don't. We're talking about DEAF. We translate comedy and ASL for both hearing and deaf people. And every time I say that, people go, you sneaky motherfucker, right? It's amazing, right? I just did it again this year, right? So when I sent the email over, the guy who runs the theater goes, in all 25 years of me throwing events in the theater, nobody has ever asked me to do a deaf show. I got to see what this is about. So I go talk to him. I put Def Comedy Jam on the calendar. I go, hey man, I want to do my dark brew, my black show. He's like, how'd it do last? Oh, it sold out. Okay, no problem. We put that on the calendar for October. And I was like, hey man, I want to do, this all woman show. Won't we do that on the Friday after Thanksgiving? He said, okay. And then next thing you know, we're writing in all 4 dates for the end of the year because I did Give Love Laugh, which is my donation show for UGM and Mary's Place because I grew up homeless and on the streets, so I like to give back. So he's sitting there looking at me, and this is the first time he's met. And he's like, hey, man, I don't usually do this. Can't be looking at the calendar, but I'm going to write you in on all 4 of these dates. So, okay. Def Comedy Jam comes. Fucking sweating. I don't care if my show is 20 people or 200 people in the audience. I'm fucking a wreck. I'm nervous. Nobody's going to fucking show up. This shit didn't work. What the fuck am I doing this for? I'm pacing. I come back in. I go smoke. I come back in, and it's dead quiet. I was like, nobody's fucking here. He's like, oh, they're here. Go look. And I hate to say this, but there's 100 fucking fingers flying, but there's no noise. Right? And so we had probably I think the number was 74 people. Because I have a photographic memory and I have the paper. But it was 74 people paid for entry. I think 48 of those people were deaf.
Wow.
And then not only that, but you get 2 laughs for every joke. Because I tell the joke and you hear it, and then it gets signed, and then they laugh too. And then next thing you know, we sold out Dark Brew, of course. Of course, that motherfucker sold out, right? And so then we planned for 2020, right? We're like, yeah, you got the whole year. I got Dark Brew twice a year. I got Def Comedy Jam twice a year. I'm doing Mixed and Misidentified twice a year. Doing Give Love Laugh twice a year. Doing Holiday Momedy twice a year. Then I'm throwing in a mixed show, just SuitMan specials. Each month I got a show. I made a whole flyer. It had the Seattle skyline on it with the SuitMan logo and the whole calendar. Holiday show, we get about 40 people. Not that many because, it's the Black Friday. Give Love Laugh 2 days before Christmas, we get about 35 people, right? 2 days before Christmas, but we're building momentum. Mixed and Misidentified, the What Are You show. Here's the best part. So on the flyer, Mixed and Misidentified, it's 2 hands like this, right? Painted like the sky to show a globe. And then it's got a picture each person with the flags of what they're mixed with underneath. So imagine I'm Norwegian, Swedish, tribal American, and African American. So there's an African American flag, a Swedish flag, a Norwegian flag, and then a tribal flag, right? Well, then other people like Japanese and Thai, Hawaiian, all this. So now you're seeing all these different. So you've got a flyer with 7 comedians, but you've got 27 different fucking flags on there. Right? We're all a whole bunch of this shit, and you don't know who we are. We all look like cousins, and ain't none of us the same mix, right? We sell out Dark Brew in February, and guess what happens 2 days before Give Love Laugh?
Oh, COVID.
We locked down for COVID.
Yeah.
Now I want to say something. What is the mark of a champion, Easton? What did they say it is? It's not winning, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not doing good. It's bouncing back from
Mm-hmm.
getting knocked down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what they say? It's not how
Mm-hmm.
many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you get up, motherfucker.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
do you know what happened to SuitMan over the fucking pandemic? I
Mm-hmm.
blew the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happened is a lot of people started doing comedy on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing right now is actually only feasible and really that probable because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can now sit. Riverside wasn't a thing. Zoom wasn't a thing. All these different podcast things weren't a thing,
Yeah.
right? Like Zoom was there, but we weren't using it like this,
Yeah.
right? Everybody didn't know what Zoom was, right? And so next thing you know, I'm doing comedy with people in Asia, UK, East Coast, West Coast, fucking India, Malaysia, you know what I mean? Everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but the best part was I found out I was fucking funny.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When you're doing comedy in front of comedians and so this is the one. I stayed up till like 3 a.m. one day to do an open mic in Japan. And it was like 3 or 4 in the morning was when it started, right?
Mm-hmm.
So no, it started at 4. That's what it was. So I had to get up at 3 or 4, 3:30 or something. And it was like, did you get up? And I said, oh no, I haven't been to bed yet. And we were playing video games, fucking get high.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like performing for people from a different country who don't know who you are, and you're doing your shit, and they're just like, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they have no skin in the game,
Yeah, definitely.
right? And you know what I'm talking. Let's take this to a football thing. When we go play teams, and we go play like in Medford, and we won that game. The team didn't know how to act because they'd never seen me play against people I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And you can talk shit and you can doubt me, but then you see me play against a team that's legit and we shut them down and win. And the command, you're like, oh, fuck, this nigga. Yeah, nigga. That's how it felt. You're doing comedy in Japan and you're like, I don't know, can I do this? These Japanese people aren't going to get it. You do this internationally and you're like, oh, shit. And so I did some shows. Let's look at it. Let's look at the so and I'd love to do this, and I'm at a point where I was like, I did this interview with the Seattle Medium, and I said I hope I was being humble, and the lady was like, no, we're finally interviewing you. You haven't been interviewed before. I looked you up. Don't be humble. Speak your truth. But I started doing Dark Brew Online. Then I started a show called Raw, which was Ridiculously Amazing Women. Right? Now, when I started Ridiculously Amazing Women, guess how many online comedy shows there were for women? 0. So I had all these people doing comedy, all these producers, all these, thousands of people. Nobody was doing an online women's show. So then I started one. And so then I started Soul Sister Sundays. I had an all-black woman lineup. I did 6 of those. Now I want you to think about this. As a black man, I had 2 shows that were online where I was never on the camera. I have another show that's still running called Social Security Influencers. It's on every once a quarter. It's on a Saturday at noon. It's for old people. Everybody's over 65. That's why it's at Saturday for noon, right? I've done 13 of these. You know that means the show's been running for over 3 years.
Wow.
And guess how many shows I've been on?
0. Yeah.
Right? We had it. Now we're not bragging. You said we could talk about this, right?
Keep it coming.
So then we did a mixed and misidentified online, but then we started laughing through recovery. I did 5 of those. Guess what? That was a show for people talking about their life through sobriety. At the time, I was still drinking. So I wasn't, guess what? That's another show where I had 0 time on, right? Then there was a girl named Priya Frank who wanted to produce a show with all older women. So I produced a show called Cougars in Captivity.
Oh my.
The best part is the name of my show sometimes, right? Right. And I think I did get to be on that show. I hosted it because the girl was new, right? But I called myself, I was the Panther. I called my right. I was like, yeah, I'm a Panther. These Cougars don't want me. The old ones don't either. And then not only that, but then I went and I started doing shows in Boise. 2021, I did 12 shows in Boise, 12 or 13, something like that. I took my all black show, Dark Brew, there. I took Mixed and Misidentified there. And then instead of calling it Raw, I started a new all woman lineup called WAP. Yeah, women are funny with a PH. Right? You got to stay, hold on. You got to stay, what's the word? Topical, right?
Yeah,
you got to stay relevant.
For sure.
Right? And these names were all things. That's when WAP came out. I also did Santa's Naughty List online. What else did we do here? We did So Scooty, Raw, Laughing Through Recovery, Mixed and Misidentified. We started doing online. We did 4 or 5 different Give Love Laughs where we were doing generating income for, we've done 6 of those. We were generating drive to people going to Mary's Place to donate for Mary's Place online. We did Cupid's Rejects, which was a Valentine's Day show online, right? Because we're all on Zoom and we ain't got dates. So right. We did. Then I partnered up locally with Urban Solutions, who is an online radio. We did a cookout show for July. We did a Labor Day show. Because remember, we were on lockdown all that time.
Yeah.
And nobody remembers it, but remember, we did. It was Labor Day laughs. It was something to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really found this niche, and not just meeting people in real life, but finding people. And I've done. You asked me, we haven't even got into you interviewing me. Just telling you people who I am and what I've done is a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And around that time in 2022, we came out of lockdown. I started doing these cut videos. Right before we went into lockdown, I started doing cut videos. So if any of you guys have seen me or sound familiar, I'm the Black Seth Rogen guy on YouTube. Everybody calls me the Black Seth Rogen. I've got hundreds of millions of views on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, YouTube, right? So now I'd start going places and people are like, hey, you're the guy from, yep, one picture. And the best story about that is I was dating a girl all the way in California. You remember that? And I went down with her. And we're in the middle of nowhere, and I'm in a bad mood, and out of nowhere, these 2 girls come over, and they're itching to talk, and my girlfriend at the time knew it. So like, hello, can we ask him a question? And I wasn't in a good mood, so I wasn't paying attention. She's like, yeah, he's the guy. And they're like, do you want a picture? And I was like, they're like, yeah. So I got up and took a picture, and her friends were sitting there, and they're like, what the fuck was that about? Oh, wow. And I was like, remember earlier I told you we're going to a comedy show. I asked you if you wanted to go. I'm the comedy show. And they're like, oh, fuck, we're fucking going now. Okay, now we'll go. Yeah, they're like, a comedy show in a Atascadero? Fuck no. Oh, you're performing? Oh, yeah, we'll go. We'll go see that, right? And so it's just been, that's the tip of the iceberg, but that's who I am. That's what got me started. Wanting to, the comedy side, the comedy piece is a sad story. I've always wanted to be a comedian. My mom was a shitty mom. My dad was a shitty dad. I got left home a lot. And so I used to watch Evening at the Improv all the time. I'd watch the original Def Comedy Jam. I'd watch HBO specials, and I watch comedy into the wee hours of the night. Comedy just came to me. And when my mom died in 2018, and it broke me, dog. I should say 2017, sorry. And it broke me. And then I lost my wife and kids right after the next year. But right before I lost them, I was like, I'm going to do comedy. I'm going to start doing the things I love. It's kind of why I got divorced. Is I don't love you, so you don't love me. So I'm not going to do you anymore. But I just wanted to do comedy. Mm-hmm. And if there's, I think I can say this and you'll agree with this. I'm a leader amongst men. And you know what I'm talking about. You put me in a locker room, it doesn't matter what the team is. By that time the year is over, I am the leader. I'm one of the captains. It just naturally happens. You've seen me do that on 3 different teams.
Yeah, for sure.
And the one team it didn't happen on, guess what? They were dysfunctional. Is if you're a leader and you want to do, you go do them. And this comedy thing, even when I was so close to giving up recently. And the medium called me and was like, we want to interview. She came over to hear my podcast last week. Did you catch my podcast last week? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I had Benny Shakes on. The podcast is called Dating with Disabilities. He's one of our original podcast members. We started it because we watched Love is on the Spectrum on Netflix. And so we started the show. Well, I think on episode 5 or 6, one of our podcast members came out as bisexual on our podcast.
Oh, wow.
Guess who was our guest when the lady was listening in? That original podcast member. So he got to talk about how he came out on our podcast, how his life's been better since he came out on our podcast. Do you know how many people wish they could have? I already got it recorded. It's episode 5, Dating with Disabilities. Go back and watch it. Then watch episode 28 and listen to how his life's been so much better 2.5 years later. I can't pay for that. These are the things people don't get. Def Comedy Jam last month, when we threw it, it's a pain in the ass to throw, and it's hard, and it's not profitable because nobody wants to help with it. But do you know how many people out of those? We had 70-something there last month. I think 40 of them said they were deaf again. Do you know how many of those people had never been to a comedy show? 32. 32 deaf people had never been to a live comedy show before. Good,
And you think
bad,
about it, there are interpreters at comedy shows. I've been to quite a few and never seen one.
And then here's the hard part. No matter how good you try to do something, right? You're always going to get shit.
Yeah.
Well, then the question, well, where's the deaf comics? Well, I don't have any. There aren't any local deaf comedians. And the couple that there are, they weren't available. Every time I do, I love doing these podcasts. I love talking because it reminds me of the work I'm doing is valid. Not only is it valid, but it needs to be done. There's nobody else doing an old person comedy show. There's nobody else doing a mixed and misidentified comedy show. There's nobody doing a show called Laughing Through Recovery. There's nobody doing a deaf show. There's some sort of creative genius here. And we haven't even talked about the movie I wrote. I'm going to send it to you. You got to read it if you like to read.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
There's so many layers to who I am, what I do, that I can't stop. You know, if I ever got somebody with some money or to hear the right person to read, say one of your Hustler's Handbooks, people who's got the money calls and listens to this and goes, oh shit, I've been wanting to throw some money around and get into a club, and I got 150 grand we could throw into getting a place. Holy shit, do you know what I'd be able to do? To finally have the capital. That's where we talk about racism and institutional and generational wealth. That's how it affects us black people, because we don't just have uncles and cousins and friends sitting around with 100 grand. Fuck off, right?
Yeah.
But when you get there, it's so much easier. Right? You've done meal prep. You've done personal training. You're now podcasting, right? You know what it's like to struggle with your business. You're now a father and a husband and all these different things. You've done all these things. So now when somebody goes, hey, man, you want to run I need you to run this personal training business. Yeah, I know how to do it. Here's where we can cut some corners. Here's where we can't. Here's where we need to focus on quality versus quantity. This is the plan. Well, how do you know that? Well, here's Beaston. Here's what we did here. Here's the Hustler's Handbook podcast. Oh, shit. Maybe you do know. Yeah, I've already got like 3,000 or 4,000 followers. I went to Wazoo. I played semi-pro. I played college. Yeah. Oh, shit. Like, you're legit. Yeah. I've just been humbly waiting for my opportunity.
Definitely.
Right? Same here. Somebody comes and sees me and says, hey, I need somebody to run a place. Great, cool. Well, what kind of shows do you think you're going to run? Well, I'm going to do a black show every month. I'm going to do an all-woman show every month, definitely. And then I'm going to rotate 2 of my other shows. Well, what are your other shows? The Sober Show, this Cougar Show, this Laughing Through Recovery, this all-woman. We're going to do Solstice to Sundays every other month or once a quarter. Oh, shit. That sounds amazing. I know, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I got a catalog.
Well, where are you going to get these comedians? It's real simple. They already know who SuitMan is. Let me put out the back call. What kind of a budget do we have to bring people in? Look at you. You're already like, yeah, sign me up. I got to go.
For real, I'm already involved. I'm like, damn, all right, let's get started.
Right. Where do I sign? I got 7 buddies. Can you say this to them too? But that's when I talk to people and they have a real conversation with me. That's what I get. When you talk to a real businessman about business, you want to talk to me about what I do and how I do it. That's what I'm going to get.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about plan, and I think that's the thing is if you know anything about me, there's one thing you can always say: Duante shows up.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever needed anything, if you've ever asked for a calling, if you've ever posted you needed help, am I wrong? Who's the first motherfucker that, hey, what's up, man? What you need something?
Yeah.
I might not even comment. I'll send you a DM. Hey, man, I see you going through some tough shit. You need something? What do you say? Oh, shit, I didn't. You? Yeah, me, nigga, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Walked up on you on the gym. How you doing, young man? You took,
Yeah.
who's
Right?
whose big ass hand is this? You doing all right? Shit, yeah. Hey, right? But that's the thing. And, you know, whether it's doing shows in Boise, doing shows in California, doing 9 shows in Hawaii, fucking doing shows in Las Vegas when I was on my 40th birthday run, doing shows in Bakersfield, going all through Oregon, doing Idaho, doesn't matter. Guess what? If I say I'm going to do it and we sign up for it, we fucking do it. There's so many people that don't get that. If you do this podcast and we reach one person and change their life, the podcast was worth it.
Yeah, exactly. That's always been my goal.
Right? If you reach 2, fuck, you're magnificent. If you reach 3, you're fucking invincible.
Mm-hmm.
People don't get that. People don't get that it takes saving one life to be a savior. It takes mentoring one person to be a mentor. It takes one success to be a success. And those are the things that you got to live by. I think one of the best things I said in my last podcast that really hit home is like, what advice would you have given yourself that always changes, but I finally found the one that works for me. If you play video games, remember everybody else is non-playable characters. They're NPCs.
Mm-hmm.
You are the main character in your video game. And when you start thinking about that, I only get in a video game, you don't collect, you know, swords and knives for everybody else. You don't collect potions to save everybody else. You collect all that shit for you. You got to believe you can go kill the dragon. The whole town can tell you can kill the dragon right now. But if you got to the town early and you're not at the right level and you go kill the dragon, guess what? The dragon's going to kill you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And you might not even been to the town yet, but you've been doing all your work and you're like level 47 instead of 26 so you run into the dragon on the way to the castle and you kill him already. And you get to the town, they start telling you you're supposed to kill the dragon. And at the end of the conversation, they give you the reward because you were already ready for what you were supposed to do.
I like that.
And I'd rather be that latter person.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather be that person that's put in the work. And I think that's the hard part. We always say as athletes, it's the work that you do when nobody's looking that gives you the product you want when people are. Right? It's that extra 6 inches. It's showing up 15 minutes to practice. Remember, I had 40 guys showing up on Saturdays at 7 a.m. Remember? And you were like, I fucking hate you.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was the funniest thing ever. Because I know you weren't saying you were hating me. Honestly, you were like, dude, this is impressive.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You've got me out here in 25, 30 thugs on a Saturday morning. People don't understand. If you believe and you start doing shit and you're doing it the right way, the right people will come. It may take 6 years. It may, and this is the one I want to tell you guys. We did on our podcast where the guy came out, we were talking about how I was getting the story, and then Benny, he's cerebral palsy. He does a show called Disabled Cants, where he puts people in wheelchairs and shit and makes them try to perform, right? With like their legs only and shit. And I'm laughing. He's like, I don't know if you're laughing at me or laughing with me. I said, no, I'm laughing with you. Because I've tried to play wheelchair basketball. You guys are fucking bullies. You guys like to knock us over and be like, get up, bro. And I'm like, really? Like, first time on a wheelchair, you're going to knock me over and be like, get up, bro. The guy's like, well, that's fun for us. It's like, no, you're bullies. Right? And then we had Variety D on there. And Variety D is a black comic from Britain. She's the only comic that talks about having epilepsy and autism, especially as a black comic in Britain. And then she's pretty big. And like, I'm doing, this is who I do my podcast with every month is Variety D. She's in the UK. Sylvie Santos is in Canada. I have the first transcontinental. Every month we're doing a fucking podcast that's on 2 different continents and in 3 different countries, right?
Yeah.
But she's talking about how she just hosted the British Emmys, right? She's been doing comedy for 16 years. And my point in saying that is you don't know if it's day 1 or day 16,000 that Beeston jumps off, right? I don't know if it's going to be it's obviously not going to be day 1800 because we're already there, right? But I don't know if it's day 2200 or day 4200 that somebody's probably going to have that money. And if that money is the motivator, not your message of creating people and wellness through fitness, right? Not making opportunities for people with minorities and disabilities, right? Creating entertainment that's unique, that spotlights minorities and those with disabilities. Nobody's focusing on that. Yeah. I am. No, somebody might focus on disabilities, somebody might focus on minorities, but nobody's doing both.
Yeah.
And nobody's doing it with the intersection I am, because I'm mixed and I'm half deaf and I'm half mental and I'm half all these things, right? I'm not all the way autistic. I'm Asperger's. I'm not all the way deaf. I'm half deaf. I'm not all the way a minority. Oh, yeah, I'm all the way a minority. Then everybody just thinks I'm Polynesian. What's up? But that's the thing is you gotta earn it. You gotta work for it. You gotta do the things. And right now I'm doing the things. Right now you're doing the things. I told you before the podcast. Great to see you doing it. If you need help, let me help you. And that was the other thing. I love your podcast. And here's why. First off, you're my brother, you're doing it. And then second off, the best way to get better at what you're doing isn't always going to be to follow somebody else in your own field, because they're probably not going to tell you all the secrets. It's to find somebody who's successful in a different field and find out why they're successful. A DJ will never get jealous of a comic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Comic will never get jealous of a personal trainer. Personal trainer will never get jealous of the chef. But guess what? You get 3 personal trainers in a room, eventually.
Oh, yeah. I've been around it. Get 3 athletes in a room.
Right? I'm one of the most humblest athletes around. But somehow, whenever we get in a room, it's always Dante's fat. No shit, I'm fat. Didn't I still throw 2 touchdowns? Yeah. Didn't I throw a couple touchdowns? But you're fat. Great, cool. And I still pack. Okay. But you're fat. So great. Yeah. You've heard me say great. Yeah, I'm fat. Cool. What happened?
Right.
The favorite was, dude, I'm faster than you. Remember? And I was like, everybody's faster than me.
But I'm still making plays. Like, I'm waiting for an insult.
We're throwing out facts. Okay, you're dumb. These are the things. And so I've found some people. Right? Like I found you again, ran into you at the gym, and I saw the smile in you. You were just like, hey, what's up, big bro? How you doing? I said, hey, I'm around. I'm not in rent no more. I'm in Federal Way, so I don't see it, but I'm around. I'm on, you know what I mean? These are the things. And so I think so many of us, especially entrepreneurs, you go to try to be friends with other chefs, right? You were trying to be friends with all your other personal training buddies, and that didn't work out. Why? Because eventually they're going to be doing things you don't agree with, or vice versa. Or they're going to be training somebody and say how great they are, and you're just going to laugh. And they're going to be like, what? And you're like, oh, nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, but there's even you. Yeah, I've seen you do that where you laugh and somebody's like, what's wrong? It's a, don't worry about it. Yeah. I know. To the smart person, they go,
something's up.
Right? That gets back to the other person. No, you're an asshole. It just doesn't work. And it's because there's a level of competition no matter what. And if you're not a real athlete, and even athletes aren't good at it. And you see that when you get into our industries. These people who have a little bit of success, they're comedians or they're producers, and they have a little bit of success, so they make this tight-knit group and they want to shit on other people or shun people out. And it's like, why?
Yeah. Yeah. We all can eat. We all can succeed. Build each other up. Don't break each other down. Like,
you don't need to. If you want to go do your own thing and it don't involve me, that's fine. But why do you have to shit on what I'm doing?
Exactly. Yeah. Stare at your own plate. Focus on yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't like Beast and Fist Fitness, and we're not hanging out no more, right? And you don't like it. Great, cool. Go do your thing. But you don't need to talk about it. You don't need to rip up the shirt. You don't need to post a message of you burning my shirt and putting it in the garbage can. Yeah. But it's all those things, and then part of it is learn. How do you cut through that?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the ups and downs with what you've been doing. Not all of it. I haven't heard of it, but I know it. I feel it. I see it. Mm-hmm. You know how I know? Because what you post or what you don't post, and how much the brand's been out there versus what it used to be, right? And how exhausted you are trying to put it out there. This success is like a drug. We're all addicts of success, right? So what I mean by that is when we start doing these things and we start getting in front, we don't, and the success is really drawn by what? What do we consider success? Money. And as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as an entertainer, it might take you 10 years to start making money. Right? How long? Everybody thought, I'm going to start being a personal trainer and it doesn't cost any money. So I'm going to get 10 clients and they're all going to pay me $200 a week. So that's $2,000. So be making $100,000. Yes. Yes, you are. But then you got to remember, 25 to 30% of your appointments cancel. So now you actually got to book 30 to 35 clients to get those 20 appointments, right? And then you got to have a gym membership at all the gyms because they don't just like personal trainers coming in and working out, right? And then they don't want to let you use the special equipment in between. So now you got to have 4 different sizes of bands. You got to have, so now that's an investment too. And then they want a supplement idea from me. So I need to have my own supplement mix and make it and give it to them. So then I need to probably have some of that on hand, right?
It's like read my business plan. But point being, yes, it is it is a struggle.
I don't even and listeners, I want you to know this. Me and Easton are friends, but we're not friends like that. So I'm able to tell him all this I don't know shit about his business. I know his business. I see it online. I'm telling you all this, but I'm able to have this conversation because I know what it's like being in business. Being a comedian, you want a venue, you need all these different things. Well, I need to buy a mic and I'm paying for $20 for Zoom every month. Well, why do you pay for Zoom? Because I can record more in an hour. I don't have to wait for it to upload while I'm recording. It downloads later and it saves online and it meshes with everything I want to do. There's other sites. No, I don't know. And I don't want to know. This is what works for me.
Yeah.
Right? And those business practices, like a lot of people don't know. You get your LLC. Well, you still need a business license.
Mm-hmm.
What? Well, if you're going to make more than $12,000 a year, $1,000 a month as an LLC, you need a business license in the state you're doing business. In the county you're doing business because you got to pay taxes. Now, if you're making less than $12,000, or approximately $1,000 monthly in a city or county, you're probably not going to have to avoid that because you wouldn't pay taxes on it anyways. Mm-hmm. You might have known that. You might not have. Mm-hmm. Now, once you've got that business license and that LLC, you probably want to invest in a small commercial insurance policy. Mm-hmm. Why is that? So that way, if anybody ever sues you, guess what? It doesn't cost you anything. Mm-hmm. And if somebody does get hurt while you're working out with them, guess what? You can pay for their injuries. Now, how much better is it to work with somebody and have them get hurt while they're working out and you pay for it?
Yeah.
And then be able to write, this thing. I had a little thing in my back. And Beaston Performance made sure I got healthy. They had somebody to refer me to, and it didn't even bill my insurance. Their insurance policy covered everything. And I got a couple $100 for the days I took off work. I used to sell insurance as well, if you can.
Oh, okay.
He's like, fuck, I don't have an insurance policy. But these are the things in business. Who's teaching that? Mm-hmm. Now, another personal trainer ain't going to tell you that. But a guy in a different field who knows what he's doing will tell you, hey, you got your casualty insurance? My buddy who's a DJ got LLC. I called him and said, hey, man, go get your business license, get your commercial insurance policy. Now, guess what he's doing? Corporate gigs at a insanely amount of money. Because corporate gigs require a business license and insurance. What do most DJs not have? A business license and insurance. If you don't have a business license and insurance, they can't net 30 you, which is pay you 30 days later and make you billable. Which means you're not going to do business with most major corporations like Microsoft, Amazon, or whatever. Some game for Easton would be, if he's got those things, he should probably contact larger corporations about doing one-on-one personal training as a part of their wellness package. But think about that, and think about all these companies. If you went to a company and sent them an email and said, hey, I'm Beaston Fitness, local guy. I know you guys do a wellness package. For those of you people who are interested at a low rate for the corporate, maybe I'll give you, $150 to do up to 20 clients. That's $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
Oh, I see we have 30 people this month. I went ahead and did them for free. I'm going to bill you $1,500 for the extra 10, but I wanted to talk about upping that limit to 40 at $125 a piece. So it's a $5,000 contract a month, and each of those people get an hour.
There it is. We got to talk.
But this is what I can talk about for any business, because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I know how I'm doing it. I've been doing it. I've done a lot of other business, but that's what we're doing with SuitMan. I'm working on. I had 2 sponsors for my last show, which was $1,000, so I ended up making $800. If I didn't get that $1,000 sponsorship, the show cost me $200 to put on. Sponsorship money is important. Why? Because it's free money. You got to advertise and put their logo out there, do all these different things, but that's the game we're talking about.
Yeah.
Grant money, sponsorship money. Who's doing these things? Then the people getting the grants, they don't want to tell you about the grant, because then they'll be competing against you for the grant next time.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
So and the worst part is we as a people, us POCs now, because we're called BIPOCs instead of just black people, they've grouped us all together, right? Now we're all competing for the same BIPOC resources. So I think for a lot of people, if you want to be a real hustler, go find somebody who's doing something that's not in your fucking industry. My buddy Peg, right? Whenever somebody needs a DJ, I talk about DJ Peg. We don't have a mutually exclusive relationship, because he knows a lot of other people. There's other hosts. But when anybody talks about comedy, guess who he says? SuitMan. I'm going to try to become a wedding officiant, because he does a lot of weddings. I want to start wedding planning, because I'm good at planning events, right? Imagine if you could go to one person, they could bring you a comedy show, they got your DJ, they're going to officiate your wedding, they'll help you with colors, they'll plan the whole thing.
Seriously, one-stop shop. Because that's half the headache. Planning is going to 20 different people and organizing it as one. So why not just go to that one person to organize it for you?
Right? That's my next step, is I need to become a wedding officiant and finally let somebody have me do their wedding. And hey, what's your budget? Great, cool. Well, what do you mean, what's our budget? Okay. Well, here's the thing, is I'd love to talk to you and tell everybody what do you want to do, but let's get down to the numbers. How much are you willing to spend per person? So if we're talking a meal, that's going to be $40 to $45, if not 50 to 60 catered. We want a DJ, that's going to cost at least $5 per person, depending on the amount of person. We want a comedy show, that's another $2 to $3 for entertainment. You guys want your whole limo, okay? That's just our cost per person. So our cost per person is around $80. You want 100 people there. It's $8,000 just for the reception. Simple
just
math.
like that.
And that's when we talk about hustling and comedy and my drive and my production work, everything is like that. I'm numbers oriented. I'm time oriented. I'm production oriented. Everything's like that. So you always made my shows about an hour, right? Well, guess what? Now that I'm editing my shows for comedy, for radio, guess how much time I have for a radio spot? About an hour. So all those online comedy shows are already basically formatted for me to edit them and put them on radio. My podcast, you keep your podcast around 70 to 75 minutes. Why? That way, if you edit it down or there's lulls, there's not a lot of lulls in me running my mouth. But if there are lulls, he's like, there's been game this whole time. I haven't had a single question. But if there's lulls, you're able to trim it down. You get under an hour, and now it's something that's pressable. Right? People ask, why do you do 5 or 6 comics? Because I want a variety. You put 4 to 5 comics on a flyer, and they all don't look the same. That means everybody in the room is going to laugh. If I got a minority, a woman, a black woman, an Asian, who's not in the room is going to laugh. I've hit different markets, different types of people. The people who aren't going to laugh at me are going to laugh at the conservative Karen. The people who weren't laughing at the weird white guy are going to definitely laugh at the dark humored white girl, right? Like when you have contrasting styles on the same show, it's awesome because everybody in the audience laughs. And another nugget I need to give everybody. Since you haven't asked me any questions, I need to give a nugget because we're almost at it. We just hit an hour. Stop trying to get rich off your friends. I don't think you guys heard me. Stop trying to get rich off your friends. Jeff Bezos isn't a billionaire because he has a billion friends who bought his product. Who's the other guy? Microsoft fucker, I can't. Bill Gates. Didn't become a billionaire because all his friends bought his computers. Kevin Hart, Richard Pryor didn't become the best at what they're doing because all their friends said they were funny. You're going to make money and you're going to get your best support from strangers.
And I think that's one of the biggest problems, when people first start out, is even including myself, is when I started Beastin', I was assuming all my friends would be on top of it. All my friends would want to train. And they talked about it, yeah. Oh, let me start training, blah, blah, blah. Until the day happened that I actually needed them to train and the interest died down, like you spoke on earlier. So totally agree with that. The relying on the friends thing is what can kill your drive or your job or your business itself.
Your momentum. And the thing is and I also want to not check you because you've already figured it out, but I want to check the small entrepreneurs that think their friends should support their business. No, your friends have a budget right now that didn't include you. And when you start your business, you're going to make it sound like people need to pay you to live. And it's not your friend's job to pay your bills. I don't mean to hurt your feelings, Easton, because you're past it. That's why I never said this to you earlier, right?
Yeah.
But it's not your friend's job to pay your bills. So why would you rely on your friends to pay your bills?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's say that again. It's not your friend's job to pay your bills, right? So why is it when you become a business owner, you start wanting to rely on your friends to pay your bills?
Not their responsibility.
And that is a sobering idea. How many comedy shows have you been to, Easton? A ton, right?
Yeah.
How many SuitMan comedy shows have you been to?
0.
Have I ever brought that up?
No,
before
not
to
one.
now? Right? Has it ever been on my agenda? Hey, man, you still haven't came to a show yet.
Surprise.
Yeah, just did that. By the way, Beastin does not support SuitMan Productions. But and I didn't say that. I don't mean that at all, brother. I don't. Right? Just like I never bought one of your shirts. I wanted to, but the money never lined up. Right? And I'm also not. I don't think let's be honest. I don't know if me wearing your shirt would help you. Right? It's instant money. Me paying your $20, paying your bills might help. Right? So think about that. That's the other part. Right? And I knew that. Why would I buy a shirt if I can't wear it and get nothing for you? Right? Now, what can I do? I can start putting Beastin on you can send me your logo. Right? I start putting you on some flyers. You start putting SuitMan on some flyers. Start getting you some traction that way. Right? There's other ways to do it, but and I don't mean that to you particularly, but that's what I'm getting at. I'm on this podcast with somebody I respect. I'm a friend. And guess what? This nigga has never been to a show. And he just talked about, I've been to tons of comedy shows, and I've never seen one like yours. I know, because you've never came to one. But that's not the point. The point is I'm not mad he hasn't. I'm not keeping track. I know he has it, because I'm Asperger's and I'm OCD, right? But I don't care. Because it's not his job to pay my bills. Now, every month I send out a text to like 600-700 people whenever I have a show, a produced show. Most of the time, nobody shows up. Because even if 10% of the people showed up, I'd sell out every time I had a show. If 5% of my friends showed up, I got 55,000 friends. That's 250 people every show, right? So what am I missing on? So remember, it's your marketing. Your networking. It's the people that don't know who Beastin is that are going to support Beastin. It's the people who've been looking for a comedy show that are going to support SuitMan. Now, one day when I get rich and we blow up, right? Everybody, even you, when I'm working those Husky games, hey, man, can you get me tickets to the Apple Cup? I didn't hit you with, hey, can you come to a comedy show? I just, man, I can't hook you up. But when people see you doing things, they want to latch on. Find those people that were latching on before you were doing things. Find those people that were supporting. You know, and nothing against you. I got some friends that come to my shows habitually. My buddy Jordan, I used to work with at Safeway. Him and all his nerdy friends always come to my show. I'm throwing a magic party next Saturday. We're going to do magic at my house, right? Like, this is how you make, that's how you get a following. A friend showed all his friends that I didn't know about what I did. And they're like, hey, that's cool. And now we're hanging out in a different way that has nothing to do with me giving them money or them giving me money.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for building this podcast because now you're doing something that has nothing to do with you making money.
Yeah.
And what that'll do is give you a chance to get some free game from your people on your podcast.
Exactly that.
Right? Share some game with people. Right? Get some perspective. Deliver a message. Feel like you're doing more than just hoping you can get somebody's ass in shape. Because really nobody ever wants to get fit. They're just trying to look good for this reason or that, right? Yeah. Nobody's really trying to change their habits, right? It's just a quick fix. You're like, you know, this 6 weeks isn't going to be enough. You should be with me for the rest of your life. They're like, nah, I just want my summer bod.
Exactly that.
I got lazy while I wasn't with you. Well, you know, if you were always with me, we wouldn't have to get lazy. We could do once a week for every week instead of 3 times a week for this next 12.
Wear yourself out. Yeah.
And my bills are more imbalanced instead of me, man. You know, we can just do this once a week. I don't mind. Steady income, right?
Yeah, for sure.
These are the things. This is what got me into it. This is what being a small Black business owner who may not be quote unquote successful because I don't make a ton of money. No, fuck that. I'm a very successful small Black business owner who isn't losing money, who is chasing their dream and is constantly putting out a quality and unique product that other people don't offer. And if you can say the same, that you offer quality and unique product, you are being successful. Don't let the balance line or the ledger balance be the measure of your fucking success.
Preach, man. Preach. I will ask this one. I do have 2 questions because you've hit pretty much everything I've wanted to ask. You've definitely gone through some struggles in your life. How have you been able to maintain or surpass those struggles or get out of that hole that you felt like you've been in to create a sense of balance and success?
So I lost my wife and kids. Didn't lose my wife. I got rid of her. I lost my kids. I don't get to see them. And a lot of people use that against me. A lot of people are like, he's a shitty dad. I paid $2,000 in child support. Half my wages get garnished. I'm doing what I can. I can't afford to pay to see them and have half my wages garnished. Just doesn't work that way. But I've also had my mom die. I grew up homeless. I grew up on welfare. I grew up on WIC. I was molested as a kid. I've been sexually abused. I've been through it all. And I say all this to say this. I almost damn near cried for a second. I believe I'm different. And I think you know that. Right? And I'm just going to let's talk about our relationship. Easton didn't like me when he met me. You didn't have to say it. I knew it. Who's this fat fuck? That was your look. You didn't say it, but you're like, you're out of shape. Oh, I know. I'm 36. You're okay with it? Yeah, I'm 36.
You're okay with it?
Yeah, remember that? You're like, yeah, I'm married. 5 kids. I don't need to be sexy anymore. That's how you get divorced. And you were just looking at me confused, like, you don't get it. And I was like, no, you don't get it. And that first year you played with me, you were like, this guy, I could see it. I'd have a good game, and you just, how? Because all these other certain things aren't measurable. And how do I get through all these things? And I'm going to cry. Because certain things aren't fucking measurable. A lot of people say I have survival skills. No, I have trauma-based responses. When I was about to get jumped by the Kings in Denver, I ran. Why'd you run? Because I had a gun on me, and I was about to kill them motherfuckers if I'd get jumped in the middle of a city where I don't know where I'm at. Right? I have trauma-based responses. I know how to survive. And surviving isn't always thriving. It's just surviving. And if you can get through today, let's see what happens tomorrow. You have to have that mentality. You have to have that mentality. If you've ever grown up homeless or really poor or really hustling, I might eat steak today and not eat again for 4 days. Do you know why I'm eating steak today? Because I know I might not eat again for 4 days. And if I can afford steak today, fuck it, let's get steak. A lot of you people don't understand that. A lot of you people don't understand. I've been eating saltines for 2 years. So that way today I could buy this fucking steak. The best feeling I had as an adult was 2 years ago. I went to, I'm going to cry. I went to the Metropolitan Grill and I sat down. And the lady's like, how can I help you? And I was like, I grew up eating out of your garbage can as a kid. And I'm here to buy a steak with my money and pay $500 to eat it because I want to eat a steak out of here that's been cooked for me. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. A lot of people don't know the humility it takes to go through some shit like that, but not only to identify it and say it and own it. I'm here because I was a homeless kid who used to eat your garbage, and now I'm going to buy your steak. I'll never be back there fucking again. I didn't give a fuck, but in that moment, I needed that steak to tell myself I'm worthy of this shit. Have that steak. I challenge all you motherfuckers to have that steak. Go on that trip. Because there's so many things in this world you don't let yourself or allow yourself to have. And I'm no longer letting people tell me what I can and can't have. And so for me, you got me crying, you son of a bitch. For me, it's that. It's being that poor kid. It's being the fat motherfucker on the sideline everybody makes fun of. Oh, wait till I get on the fucking field. I might only get 3 plays, but I'm going to do something. You've seen me do that. Get 3 plays and force a fumble. And how is it? Duante only got 3 plays, but he laid somebody the fuck out. We're talking about Duante, but he only played 3 plays. People hate that shit. Be the person people hate because you won't give up. Be the person people hate because you're transparent and you talk about your feelings and you talk about your lows and your highs. Be that person because that's the real person. That's what gets me through. The reality of not where I'm going, but where I was at, where I've been, what I've been through. That's not it. That's not my journey. And like, even with like the struggles with my kids and all that, I've been suicidal off and on this whole time, ever since I lost my kids and my mom. But you know what? I don't want my kids to have grandkids one day and be crying because they didn't get to meet their grandpa. I may not see my kids till they're adults. That may not happen, whatever. But when I finally do, I'm here. That's it. And if you give up and you don't push and you don't try and you don't play and you don't wait your turn, all you're ever going to do is talk about coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah.
And everywhere I went, whether it was the Colts, the Kings, the Nighthawks, the Ravens, any team, I've always got my chance to shine. And when I got it, we did something with it.
For sure, man. For sure. And that's why I had to have you on here, man. Honestly, like you blatantly said, like, I did not like you when we first met, but getting to know you and getting to know the type of person you are, man. Like you are who you are. You meet a lot of people and you get this facade or this like the shell of a person, but like ever since I've known you, you have not changed. You've always been that shit talking, but you're gonna build somebody up too at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And you don't see that very often where it's like there's shit talking and there's ill intent behind it. Where you should talk, but you're gonna build somebody up right after that. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that about you more than anything, man. And I had to have you on here simply because I know the impact you've had on people and the impact you've had on others in the past. So I commend you for all that, man, because it's like I didn't know much of your struggle, honestly. And to hear what you've gone through and how you still pursue and put people before yourself. Because you honestly could have simply gone through all that trauma and put yourself first. But still, during this time, you're building a business, and your business is built on helping others. And I can't thank you enough for honestly sharing your story and giving everybody all these gems and this knowledge that you have, man.
Thank you for having me. Did you have another question? You said you had two.
Yes. A little bit of self-promotion, man. Like, where can people find you? Because I know you obviously got a lot of podcasts, a lot of, shows, or any shows you got coming up. This is the time to plug it all, man. Don't give the audience everything if you can.
The answer is real simple. Go to SuitManComedy.com.
Mm-hmm.
The best part about SuitManComedy.com is every show I've talked to you about is on there. So anything we've ever done online, anything I've ever recorded, it's on our YouTube channel. Everything's organized properly, so you can click on one link, and it'll show you where everything's at and take you to where you want to be. You can find everything all at once. If you want to find out if I'm funny, if you want to hear my podcast, you want to do any of that, go to YouTube, go to Apple, go to Anchor, go to Spotify, look for SuitMan Productions. You should find us. YouTube, definitely. On top of that, if you want to hear us on the radio, I've been on 98.3 KMWV out of Oregon for 2 years.
Oh, nice.
Every Friday at 9 p.m., they play a SuitMan production, which is usually one of our podcasts. And now I'm putting comedy shows edited for radio on there. So if you've been in the Willamette Valley area for the last 2 years on 98.3, Fridays at 9 p.m., you can listen to one of our podcasts or one of our comedy shows.
Super proud of you, man. Seriously. Just hearing your story, and I really think our guests are really going to appreciate what you've given us. And I thank you again, man. Is there anything else you would like to add to the podcast, or anything else that you would like the listeners to know?
Yeah. Check out DJ Peg and Fresh Out the Northwest. It's a podcast as well that highlights a lot of Northwest comedians or artists, I should say. Check out Jane Jira, Jri, Draws. She does all our logo work. She's been with me since day one. She sells merch. She'll do logo work. She'll do graphic design. She does all my wonderful posters. And for those local to Seattle, there's going to be an article coming out on SuitMan and SuitMan Productions in the Seattle Medium. It's I think it's second or third largest paper out here. And you can get digital copies. And then last but not least, now until October, we're doing our monthly show at another Black-owned business called 23rd Ave Brewery. I'll send them to you. You should probably have them on the podcast. Local Black-owned brewery. They're partnering up with other breweries, but we do pints and laughs on 23rd Ave because it's 23rd Ave Brewery every third Saturday. So we got those until October. So check us out.
Man, you're everywhere, man, and I love it. I love to hear that you're making such an impact in our community, man, and that's what we need. More people like you helping others without the intent of just building themselves and building their own brand. So thank you again, man, and I appreciate everything you've done. Like I said, check out Duante. He's everywhere, man. He already gave you all that information, but thank you again for joining the Hustler's Handbook podcast, and I really would love to have you on again, man. Seriously. Just chop it up about football or something, man. Because
we can talk next. So next episode, SuitMan on, we'll talk about sports broadcasting, concert work, and all the shit it takes to do semi-pro. We'll talk about some of that shit. All right?
Hey, I'm for it, man. Seriously, it means a lot. I love what you're doing, like I said. But keep in touch, brother. Thank you again.
Thanks for tuning in to the Hustler's Handbook podcast. I hope you found today's episode as inspiring and insightful as I did. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow hustlers. Keep pushing, keep striving, and remember, the hustle never stops. See you next time.